Kindness is usually seen as a strength, and it is, but psychology shows there's a darker side to it too. People who are naturally kind, empathetic, and understanding are often the most likely to be taken advantage of in relationships, friendships, and even workplaces. Why? Because their compassion can be misread as weakness, their patience as permission, and their empathy as something to exploit. In this video, you'll learn the psychological reasons kind people get used, how manipulators identify them, and what boundaries actually turn kindness from a vulnerability into real strength. Today we will talk about why kind people are often taken advantage of. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Kindness is a strength that can be misread. Kindness is one of the most socially valued human traits because it reflects empathy, compassion, generosity, and emotional intelligence. However, psychology shows that kindness can sometimes be misinterpreted by others in ways that create imbalance in relationships. While kind people act from a place of understanding and care, not everyone interprets these intentions the same way. Some individuals may unconsciously or deliberately view kindness as availability, compliance, or emotional flexibility. This misinterpretation is where problems begin. Instead of mutual respect, relationships can slowly shift into one-sided dynamics where the kind person gives more emotionally, mentally, or practically than they receive. The issue is not kindness itself, but how others respond to it when boundaries are unclear or unprotected. 2. Empathy makes kind people emotionally accessible. Kind people are often highly empathetic, meaning they can easily sense and respond to other people's emotions. This emotional sensitivity allows them to be supportive, understanding, and caring in relationships. However, empathy also makes them more emotionally accessible to individuals who may exploit that emotional openness. When someone is struggling, kind individuals feel compelled to help, even when it costs their own energy, time, or emotional well-being. Manipulative individuals can recognize this trait and may intentionally or unintentionally rely on it. They know that empathetic people are less likely to refuse requests, set firm boundaries, or ignore emotional appeals. Over time, this emotional accessibility can lead to an uneven relationship, where the kind person becomes the primary emotional support system for others, without receiving equal care in return. 3. Difficulty setting boundaries creates vulnerability. One of the most common psychological reasons kind people are taken advantage of is difficulty setting boundaries. Boundaries are the mental, emotional, and physical limits that define what is acceptable in relationships. Kind individuals often struggle with saying no because they fear hurting others, causing disappointment, or being perceived as selfish. This internal conflict leads them to prioritize other people's comfort over their own well-being. When boundaries are weak or inconsistent, others may begin to expect constant availability, forgiveness, or emotional support. Over time, this creates a pattern where the kind person feels obligated to keep giving, even when it becomes draining. Without clear boundaries, kindness can unintentionally turn into self-sacrifice. 4. Guilt becomes a powerful tool against them. Because kind people care deeply about others' feelings, they are more susceptible to guilt-based influence. They often feel responsible for how others feel, even when it is not their responsibility. This emotional sensitivity can be exploited through guilt-tripping, disappointment, or subtle emotional pressure. For example, statements like "I thought you would help me," or "I guess I'm on my own again," can create emotional discomfort that pushes kind individuals to comply. The desire to avoid causing pain in others becomes stronger than their own needs. Over time, this dynamic can train kind people to ignore their own limits, reinforcing the idea that their value is tied to how much they give to others. This makes guilt one of the most effective tools used consciously or unconsciously against them. 5. Over-responsibility for other people's emotions. Kind people often develop a psychological habit of taking responsibility for other people's emotional states. If someone is upset, they may immediately feel the need to fix the situation, apologize, or provide comfort even when they are not at fault. This emotional over-responsibility creates an imbalance where they become emotionally accountable for everyone around them. While this makes them supportive friends or partners, it also creates vulnerability to exploitation. Others may begin relying on them excessively for emotional regulation, expecting them to constantly resolve conflicts or provide reassurance. This can lead to emotional burnout because the kind person is carrying emotional burdens that are not truly theirs to carry. 6. Manipulative people recognize emotional availability. People who exploit kindness often do not target randomly. They tend to identify emotional patterns quickly. They notice who is more likely to say yes, who avoids confrontation, who prioritizes harmony, and who struggles with saying no. Kind individuals naturally display these traits through their behavior, making them easier to approach for favors, emotional support, or compliance. Manipulative individuals may start small by making minor requests or emotional appeals, then gradually increase demands over time. This gradual escalation makes the imbalance harder to detect because it develops slowly. By the time the kind person realizes the pattern, they may already be deeply invested emotionally, mentally, or practically in the relationship. 7. People-pleasing reinforces the cycle. People-pleasing behavior is often closely linked with kindness, but becomes harmful when it overrides personal needs. Kind people may find it difficult to tolerate conflict or rejection, leading them to agree with others even when they disagree internally. This creates a pattern where external approval becomes more important than internal well-being. The more they please others, the more others may come to expect compliance. This reinforces the cycle of imbalance because the kind person receives validation for being helpful while gradually neglecting their own emotional needs. Over time, this can lead to resentment, exhaustion, and confusion about personal identity because their behavior becomes shaped by others' expectations rather than their own boundaries. 8. Real kindness requires boundaries, not self-neglect. The important truth is that kindness itself is not a weakness, it is a strength. The problem arises when kindness is practiced without boundaries, self-awareness, or emotional protection. Healthy kindness does not require self-sacrifice, emotional exhaustion, or constant availability. Instead, it involves balanced giving, mutual respect, and the ability to say no without guilt. Kindness is one of the most socially valued human traits because it reflects empathy, compassion, generosity, and emotional intelligence. However, psychology shows that kindness can sometimes be misinterpreted by others in ways that create imbalance in relationships. While kind people act from a place of understanding and care, not everyone interprets these intentions the same way. Some individuals may unconsciously or deliberately view kindness as availability, compliance, or emotional flexibility. When kind people learn to set boundaries, they do not become less kind, they become more balanced and emotionally resilient. In the end, being taken advantage of is not a reflection of weakness, but often a reflection of excessive empathy without protection. True emotional strength is not about becoming less kind, but about learning how to protect that kindness so it is not misused by others. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.